Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rat and the Raccoon podcast, the show hosted by two lads with a love for video games. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. We do have a Discord server open, and the invite is in all of the descriptions across all of the platforms that you might be listening to us on. Also, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a comment, like, sub, review, whatever it may be on whatever platform, as it really does help us out. Today's topic, it was so good the last time we did it. We're coming back for round two. It's music in video games. Nukes, I am so eager to get this started. So, will we dive into your first one?
Oh yeah, I'm really excited. I'm gonna start with probably an underdog of a soundtrack, but I think Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo and its sister game, the movie Power Rangers the movie. They have some of the best soundtracks. They're so underrated. Every song on them are they're bangers. But I've picked Area 5 from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is my first song.
Sweet. Oh, yeah. I was pulling a duck face towards the end there. You know when it changes the melody towards the end? I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. This is the song for the last area of the game where you play as one of the actual Rangers. There's two more levels where you play as like the Megazord and stuff, but this is most of the game is you're playing as a singular Ranger and you go through and you fight. And it's kind of like a beat 'em up kind of game, side scroller. And every level has just great songs. It's got that a little bit of the 90s to it, as you can hear, and the sound design of the game itself is really good too. Like when you kill the putties, they make this wah sound. I don't know, it's good. And
Tickles the
the
brain.
sound of the lasers, it's like little eats. I don't know, the whole every little, even it all adds to it, of course. But this whole soundtrack is great from beginning to end. It just really gets you pumped to kill things.
Power Rangers is such an underrated gem. I know it's very in the mindset of a lot of people from their childhood. Like, it is a part of pop culture. But I feel it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. I loved it growing up. I loved the TV show. And I remember when the movie came out as well. That was awesome. I remember the particular time, actually, as I was listening to the music when I was a kid. And I think I wanted like was it like the white blade? Like a dragon blade? I don't know if I'm like fabricating memories. Yeah. I really wanted that because it was like a toy that would talk back to you. It would have like the sound of, I think you might have, yeah. And I remember begging my mom when I was like really, really small. I was like, please, can I get it? She was like, yeah, the next time we come back to the store, we can get it. I was like, okay. Now, that store we were in was like a 2-hour drive away. We only went there every like 6 months, so she fucking knew. She was like, he'll forget about it in 6 months, and he won't be asking for it again. Well, I'll tell you what, it's 6 months and 35 years later. No, I'm not that old, but 30 odd years later, and I'm still waiting for my sword. But yeah,
get it on Amazon.
Yeah,
You're
look
not
at me
sponsored
now.
by Amazon. We're not sponsored by Amazon. It's just what popped in my head.
No worries, yeah. It's like, look at me now, mom, huh? Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to move on to my first one, and I think I'll be honest with all of my selections this time round. I went very mainstream and very, popular. So I think a lot of people are going to know this one. Breaking out a literal heavy hitter there with Bowser's theme from Super Mario 64 Nukes. I'm sure you're familiar with that one, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a classic.
It is. It's an absolute classic. I do remember, once again, going back into my childhood memories here, having a stereo that could record very crudely. You'd have to put in one of those blank tapes, press the play and record button at the same time, and there was a built-in microphone to it, and recording my TV just so I could listen to that track over and over. I love it. It's always stuck out for me as one of my favorite themes from any video game ever. And then, like, as an adult, when you kind of start to analyze, like, why is this so good? You know, there's like a very extreme thud off the bass drum, and then the snare sound is so snappy as well. It's just all very symbolic for like how Bowser moves, with the stomping, and the snappy snare is almost reflective of like you getting a slap from him or him laying the smackdown on you, if you will. And there's like another part to it too as well that I wanted to play. It's like this breakdown part that's so much fun. I'm just going to give it a whirl here. Just like, so feels like you're caught up in a fight against Bowser. Like that audio actually feels like, there's so much despair in it, and you're fighting. It's almost like you're like fighting to it while you're listening to it, if that makes sense. Even if you weren't playing the game. So I think it just captures the essence of Bowser and Mario 64 so well. And that kind of lead part as well, the synthy part, it just sounds so suspicious, conniving, and sinister.
Mhm.
All of those things that Bowser actually is. And I love it to bits. There was one thing I couldn't put my finger on for the longest time. The longest time. Excuse my Irish THs there, or lack thereof. I was like, this tune, the underlying rhythm sounds so familiar. And I was like, oh my god, this is Nintendo's answer to Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water. Smoke on the Water? Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, yeah.
dun, dun. I just got to play a little bit again from the tune here. Just wait for it. Just kind of like listen to it with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, there's something so familiar about this. I could never figure it out, but that's what it is. But yeah, that's my first one. I know it's going to be very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, but it's an absolute banger of a tune.
And it's got this, it's kind of punchy. It's sinister and dark, but it's also fun because it's Mario.
It's up, there's that's such a good point. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. There is a level of an upbeat atmosphere to it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I never even considered that. Sweet. All right, let's move on to your next one. Are we staying in the world of Nintendo, perhaps? Maybe.
I believe we are.
Okay,
My next one
I'm glad I
is
got that right. I'm glad you didn't turn around and go, actually, fuck you.
actually here's a surprise that you didn't know about.
Oh,
No,
speaking of, I do have a surprise for you later. So there will
oh,
actually be an element of surprise within this podcast for you. So yeah, awesome. Sorry, shut up, Wheezy. Nukes, go for it.
yeah, shut the fuck up, easy. My next pick is the main theme from The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Okay. Wind Waker takes place like 300 years after Ocarina of Time and the world's flooded. And you can hear some kind of that jaunty sort of like sea adventureness to it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it has, it has some Irish influence too, I think.
Dude,
Maybe I'm wrong.
no, literally took the words out of my mouth. I was taken back to pubs in Ireland, nights where there's traditional music playing, and that is not very far off what you would hear. You would hear stuff like that. 1000% huge Irish influence in there for sure.
Yeah, and when you first start the game, this is what's playing over the theme before you start up the game. But later on, you find out that this song is important. Um, I forget exactly why it's so important. I think it raises like one of the important temples to the game that you have to hunt down the descendants of the sages, and one of them is a descendant of the Earth Sage, and you get the Earth God's lyric, which I think I have a clip from that.
Yeah. Let me put it on here. If it's the wrong one, I have it
Well,
labeled.
it's
If it's the wrong one, just tell me to cut it.
it's all
Okay.
right.
Okay,
It
let's
goes.
go.
It still works, whether it's the wrong
Okay,
one or
okay,
not.
okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's then and you find like, and then the Wind God's aria you find as well from the other sage that you've reawakened, and like I have a clip for that one as well.
Jesus Christ, I'm about to get all Michael Flatley up in this bitch here. Lord of the Dance. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, that's the one that's got the Irish in it, doesn't it?
Mhm,
Well, these two combine to make the Earth and Wind Gods Harmony, which is just the Wind Waker theme, and you're like, oh, there it is.
mhm.
It's I think it's a beautiful song. It has that spirit of adventure to it. It sounds kind of it fits with the sea theme. It's a great song. Anytime I've ever replayed Wind Waker, I've sat there and listened to the theme before I started.
And it's very playful too. It's another Nintendo tune. You can tell that it's like another Nintendo tune that's like super super fun, playful, and just once again an absolute pleasure to listen to.
Yeah, and the playfulness, Zelda is has always been kind of playful, but this one especially, it really leaned into that. at the time there was a bit of controversy over the cell shaded graphics, but it works now. You know, it looks like you're playing a cartoon. It hasn't aged that badly at all, really. It looks just as good as it did then.
Yeah,
So
I was
it
going.
plays in.
I was going to ask because I haven't really played that one. I think I might have started it. I'm pretty sure I did. I started it at one point, which never like played it all the way through. But I was going to ask, like, that is the one that has that more kind of cartoony like aesthetic to it, right? Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, you have to, when it comes to the entire aesthetic of a game, be it visual and audio, it has to mesh together. So, you know, people complaining about one aspect of it, you know, or you know, you have to realize that it needs to be a cohesive piece of art for it to be successful. Well, not successful, but for it to make sense and for it to work.
Exactly, and it works. It's one of my favorites of the Zelda series. But that's all I have on that one.
Sweet. All right, I'm going to move on to my next one. I've got two versions of this, and I'm also going to throw your surprise in here. I know you're at the edge of your seat here, Nukes, about this one. But yeah, my next one is from Star Fox. Well, if that doesn't make you want to get into your aircraft and and fight, I don't know. I don't know about you at all. That is honestly one of the most call to action tunes that I've ever played, like, or ever had in a game. It's sick. It's awesome. I told myself not to call things sick in this episode because I must have said that word about 10 times in the first time round we did the music podcast, but it truly is awesome. There's one thing that I love about this, and I thought it was so smart of Nintendo to do. The use of this distortion guitar synth that's very reminiscent of the music from Top Gun. You have to remember, like, Star Fox, like, this came out in 1993. Top Gun came out in 1986. And it was, you know, hugely successful movie. And even to this day, with, you know, the release of the second one not that long ago, you know, it's at the forefront of people's minds in pop culture. So I love the fact that they threw in that style of distortion guitar in there as well. So, you know, high octane, air related crafts. It's got very similar vibes. So super smart move on Nintendo there. That's really all I wanted to say about it because it really does speak for itself. However, there is an incredible remix, remaster, reimagining of this song by an artist named Pontus Hultgren. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Pontus, if you're listening. It is... Whew, hold on to your seats. I'm going to play it right now. Oh, I have been
Nice.
listening. Yeah, I have been listening to that on repeat since I've heard it a couple of months ago. I think it's been out since like 2017. It's been out for quite some time, but I only discovered it quite recently. And I'm not gonna lie, when I'm at work and I've got my headphones in, I'll go to Spotify. I'll put that one track on repeat over and over and over, and I'm still not sick of it, and I get goosebumps every single time I listen to it. Like, you actually feel like you're in a state of emergency and you need to act when you listen to that version. You actually
Yeah.
feel like you actually feel compelled to get up immediately and do something like Michael Flatley dance or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on those two tunes as well. I'm sure you're probably familiar with the original Nukes.
hmm Um, you covered it pretty well. The call to action, it just, it's got that sound of like, you're going to fight the Empire. I know that's Star Wars, but still, it's got that in it.
And that's exactly what it needs to do. It's at the very start of the game too. It's evoking that sense of, right, we're in the action, let's go. But wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I do have that surprise queued up for you here. It's also by Pontus Hultgren as well, and it's from one of your favorite games of all time. So I'm just gonna give that a go right now.
All right. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
That was
World
World Revolution from
Revolution,
Chrono
yeah.
Trigger,
Yeah.
and it's got that same sort of urgency that the original has. It's it's a great cover of it.
It is. It's a super great cover. I love the choir in the background too. That's been added in. Just gives it that layer of epic, epic proportions is what I want to get at there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
And that bleeds pretty well into the next one I
it really
picked.
does. It really does. We didn't even plan that.
My next is from this same game. It's from Chrono Trigger, and it's The End of Time.
I have a question for you because when I
Yes.
listened to this the first time, right? Admittedly, I
hmm
didn't take much notice of the name of the song, and I kind of wrote down
hmm
a couple of things that just popped into my head as I was listening to it. And the things that I wrote down were this sounds like a rebirth or a reawakening. There's like a level of kind of innocence to the tune as
hmm
well, but it's actually called what's it? End of Time or
Yeah, it's The End of Time.
so is there some sort, yeah, which is like the complete opposite way to describe what I interpret in my mind, but is there some sort of playful irony or juxtaposition at play? I'm not sure, and you could tell me to go away with those fancy words and just tell me what's actually going on here too.
You've kind of got a right idea. While the end of time, when you just hear the phrase, it sounds like something bad. In the game itself, like back in the JRPG days, they always had like three party members. That's all you could ever have. You could maybe a fourth, but they usually kept it limited. So even if you could get like six characters to choose from, you could only use three at a time. And they did an interesting thing in Chrono Trigger where they used the fact that it's a time travel game to play that into the story. Because like you're flung into the year 2300 AD after the big boss Lavos has destroyed the world. This is after everything's desolate, and you find a new party member named Robo, and you get back into the time gate to go back to your time to try to stop. This is when you first find out Lavos has destroyed the world, and you try to stop what has happened to the future. And it messes with the time gate because there's four of you, and it destabilizes and it flings them to the end of time, where time has no meaning anymore. It's before everything and after everything, and all that's there is this old man and a street light, and it sort of acts as your base for the rest of the game. You have these little gates where you can go to any of the time periods as you unlock them.
Okay.
And it's got a melancholy to it, but it's also kind of peaceful and safe there at the end of time.
Yeah, I definitely felt that vibe from it.
I love this song. It's very tranquil. You would, from the name, you would think the end of time something terrible, but
you think of apocalyptic in the game. Yeah, apocalyptic Armageddon. The world is literally like coming to an end, but like you said, it's almost as if you're in a Resident Evil safe room when you listen to that music. That's as safe as you do feel.
And that's literally what it is. It's the safest place in time, because period, because I guess because there's nothing that can hurt you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I wonder if our newly found composer Pantas has a version of that as well. We must check that out. Awesome. My next one is actually my last one, and I've written in my notes here, ironically enough, another podcast, another Resident Evil mention. But my God, before we could even get to this one, we've talked about Resident Evil a couple of times already. We're a disaster.
I made a conscious effort not to do a Resident Evil song. I almost did a couple, but I said, no, we'll not do Resident Evil this time. Or Final Fantasy. I did kind of cheat with Chrono Trigger.
It doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, it's our podcast. These are the songs that we like, and I know a lot of people like them as well, so never really need to put those restrictions on it. But I feel you. It's always nice to branch out with regards to the video games that we talk about. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here talking every single one I've picked is about games I've talked about already. But once again, our podcast that we could do what we like, with a good attitude, of course. We're not sitting here like toxic about it or anything. Anyway, my next one is Albert Wesker's chase music in Dead by Daylight. Let's go for it. Oh boy, I remember when I heard that for the first time. I was on a little break, one of my many little breaks from Dead by Daylight, and they had announced I think it was the second chapter that Wesker came along. I don't think it was the first one, Resident Evil chapter. I think the first Resident Evil chapter was Nemesis, and then they had the Project W chapter, which included Wesker as the killer. So I was on a little bit of a hiatus from DBD, and I remember watching some streams and seeing Wesker and seeing the power, but it was the music, that chase music that stuck out to me. Just for anybody that's not familiar with Dead by Daylight, first of all, congratulations, and I'm sure you lead an extremely happy life, never having played that game. But it's literally the music that is playing in the background if you're the survivor and Wesker's on your tail and if he's coming after you. So that's just a little bit of context there about it. But oh man, the percussive sound, like the snares in the background, is like militant, like there's determination there. Maybe, you know, the militant feel is and symbolic of Wesker's time in the army. And we definitely know like the determination was there with Wesker. He kept fucking coming back all the time. You know, you think he's gone, he's just back again. You know, so there's all that. It's just like the grand epic sound of the instruments too. And you know, fucking Wesker's got this huge ego, as many of the baddies do in the RE series. And the choir sound, and it's all used in Resident Evil stuff as well. So different layers of things that I want to just like give kudos to here. You know, like behaviors. I complain about the dev behavior a lot. I'm not going to turn this into a rant about behavior, but I always have to like give them props for their sound design and their songs. They're 9 times out of 10, even more so, like 95% of the time, they're awesome, and they do their research and they put a lot of work in, and this captures the essence of Wesker, the essence of Resident Evil, and it's just an incredibly fun song to be shitting your pants to while you're getting chased by Wesker, and I love it. As a huge Resident Evil fan, Nukes, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that song or that tune because you don't play Dead by Daylight, but as somebody who's, once again, like I said, a huge Resident Evil fan, do you think that ticks a lot of the boxes in that universe?
Yeah, especially with the choir. It's, you know, that operatic sort of, that's very common for Resident Evil villain boss music, you know. They love a good opera, a good choir sing, you know.
They really do, yeah. To bring the house down, literally, as the world is falling around you. Yeah, it definitely gave me flashbacks to, I think was it Alexia's theme that you had, on the first episode. So I could immediately draw that comparison there. So top work by Behavior there, capturing the essence of all things Resident Evil. I am not going to say any more on that because I cannot wait for your next one.
This is my final one, and we'll just get into it. It's a Soviet Connection from Grand Theft Auto 4. I think it's the main theme.
I'm going to make an executive decision right now, and I'm going to play the second
Mhm.
part immediately, if that's okay with you.
That's it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. I'm sorry, but can you imagine the goosebumps the composers must have felt when they got all that together and when they were working their way through that and getting all those pieces to fit? My God. My God, it must have felt incredible. But it is your two nukes. I'm going to let you take it away here. Oh my God, it's so
It
good.
it's sick. If we weren't gonna say sick and
It
awesome, it's
is.
sick
It
and it's
is.
awesome.
It is. Honestly, it
Uh,
is. It really is.
what I like about this song, besides the obvious that it's good, it's a culture clash song.
Yes.
It's American and Eastern European at the same time,
Yes.
and it
That. Sorry
that's
to
part
to
of
to
the
cut
story.
cut across you, but that's one thing that I had in my notes about it. The song in itself is a melting pot. There's so many different cultures or influences at play here, much like Liberty City. So it's a great reflection
Yeah,
of the city too. So yeah, completely agree with that. Sorry to cut across you, but I just wanted to just kind of back you up on that. Completely agree.
yeah, and it makes sense too because Nico Bellic is from that part of the world, and he's a fish out of water in this dark, crime riddled American city, and he's trying to, he's trying to, that second bit is like the ambition of trying to make it here as a foreigner. The struggles that foreigners often
Mm-hmm.
come across, even though his is crime, but it's still, and to not lose your culture in the same, not lose who you are, not let this new land corrupt you or
Oh boy,
take
you're
over who you are.
you're hitting a lot of things for me personally as of late. I don't need to get into it, but you are bang on the money with that. I didn't even think about any of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like this internal struggle of his to, it this the Eastern European influence is obviously his roots, and then the hip hop sort of beat is like, I mean, it's obvious. I don't have to spell it out. You have ears.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
I was curious about what type of Eastern European, because I'm American. All this sounds like to me is Russian. That's just the truth
Oh
from
yeah.
straight to
Yeah.
my ears. So I asked my friend, who happens to be from that area, what he heard, and he said it sounds Balkanic, the Balkans. He
Mm-hmm.
said specifically Serbian, which that Nico is from Yugoslavia, which part of is now Serbia.
So
That's very smart.
they captured the essence of it. Once again, it's another sound design team or a group of composers or a single composer, I'm not sure, who know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with this theme. It captures the game perfect. It's great to listen to on its own.
Yeah,
um,
it's
that
epic. It's of epic. Seems to be the word that I'm using this time around to describe everything, but it's huge. The song is huge. There's an element of The Godfather in there as well, I
uh,
noticed. I'm not sure if you picked up on that, if that was your interpretation. One
yeah,
thing I noticed as well is, that crackling, popping sound that's
mhm.
very, you can hear it a lot, especially in like the first tune that we played. I was like, oh, that's an interesting sound to put in there, because is it like, that idea of cracking bones and cracking skulls in this life of crime? If there
Mm,
was like a little symbolic thing going on there, folks from listening probably realize that I'm very analytical when it comes to music and that type of thing. I do play like some music as a hobby, but I've always had a deep interest in in meanings behind things. So that's why I'm just trying to like figure out those things. Maybe it was just by coincidence, but as we're kind of talking about these things, especially within game design and the audio as the audio backdrop, a lot of these things aren't actually coincidence, and they're very measured and very deliberate decisions that are being made with regards to the audio that we're hearing, you know. So yeah, that's an incredible song.
Yeah, that's why I like doing these music episodes, because these are songs I've loved, but now I'm sitting down and I'm really picking apart why they're good, and then they always end up fitting. And they thought of this when they wrote the song. Maybe I didn't quite think about it; it was unconscious, but they always fit, pretty well.
And I love the fact that you went to more of a first-hand source to find out, hey, can you give me some additional information on what might be going on there? I love that play, and that, you know what, I'm going to consider that that was a little surprise from you to me within the scope of this this episode. So we're even, if you will.
He did say it was mostly American, but that the Eastern European bits what sounded Serbian to him are. So I thought I better go to a source and see if this is just, you know see some deeper insight. That
Yeah,
all I hear would be Russian. That's very broad. It's just, that's very self-centered American.
that's fair.
But
I
yeah.
don't. I'm a bit perplexed as to why you didn't come to me about the Zelda tune that you just painted as an Irish brush. If you wanted to find out anything more
Well,
specific about it, but that's okay.
well, I figured we were doing a podcast, and you could tell me during the podcast.
I'm well able to talk, so yeah, no, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I know. And I think that does it for us. There's nothing left here on my list, and I think we've covered all of yours as well. We knew this would be a little bit on the longer side, but I think we still kept it relatively short for, the level of BS that I'm capable of talking. So kudos to us on that one. Folks, thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed our little spiel or little talk on all of these video game tunes. What's your favorite video game soundtrack? What's your favorite video game song? Is there any songs that you'd like us to maybe cover in a video? We might do it. Who knows? Please feel free to give us a like, a sub, a comment, review, whatever it may be, to push us into those relevant algorithms. We do appreciate it, and we do once again appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today. And as I always say, Nukes, thank you for joining me and talking to me about our all-time favorite pastime, which is video games.
No problem. Thanks for doing this with me too.
Yeah, no worries,
We'll
no
see y'all
worries.
next time, I guess.
Take care, folks. We'll see you in the next one.